And we're going.
We going?
So, Larry, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This is really cool. Like, one of the reasons I like the idea of putting together a podcast is this is a really busy show, but we've closed the glass door. We're now inside the booth. You can really lock in and have a conversation. And you and I bumped into each other a couple times just over the last couple days, and every time I'm like, dude, can you believe we've been running around together for 25 years?
Thank you for the aging. Did not expect that, but I appreciate it. Yeah, 25 years, and this show is just
Well, we were 10 years old when we met, but...
Sure, we could go with that.
So I'll tell a quick story. When I first met you, you were driving around the country in a Dodge Viper that you'd wrapped in your Planet Java graphics, and you were like a barnstormer, man. You were doing the damn thing. I was just a lowly manager of the Downey facility, and you came in and you met with every single one of my sales reps. You made sure that everyone had a cup, a bottle of coffee, and everyone heard your story, and you were like Johnny Appleseed. And after you left, there was guys willing to, run through a wall for you because not everybody did that. Like that, you were like on the edge of guys doing that.
Well, you know what? That was a really amazing experience. Coca-Cola, when they bought the company, they were like, "Hey, we love the company, just don't come to Atlanta." And you
have unlimited T&E. Go explore.
Yeah, go and explore. And I wasn't married, didn't have any kids that I knew about. And I figured I just want to go out and just talk and meet with the people that make it happen. And it was great that the first company was sold to Coke, but I've loved Coke since I can remember. I have so much history with Coke.
So let's go back a little bit. You're from New England, right?
Nah, close. Long Island.
Long Island. Well, for an LA guy, that's.
What, do I have
close.
an accent?
No. But I knew that you were like, it was the out on the end of the island, right? Because you were from like a vacation destination.
Yeah, my
you
dad was out in the Hamptons.
Like a photo of developing business and frozen yogurt
you're
business.
Good. You're
well,
good.
You made an impression on me, dude. Like,
wow.
Here's this young guy who just sold a brand to the Coca-Cola company, and I was like, how the hell did this guy do that?
Well, Planet Java started in Hampton Bays. That's where it originally started. So I just wanted to put it into a drink, and that's when I met Mike Oranger at Coke Enterprises. And the first time that I met him, I just came back from spring break. I had bleach-blonde hair.
But you weren't a guy that like knew anything about bottling and stuff. Like, how did you get the product going?
So, listen, in fairness, and sitting in this conference for the last 2 days, all of these great startups, no one knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But
you did it before the internet. It's harder to find a co-packer if you can't Google it.
Well, thanks. I'm not that old.
No,
there was the internet.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good.
It was dial-up. But it's not so much about doing it. It's more about the passion. Uh-huh. And it's the passion of the liquid. It's the passion of believing in the brand and creating that image. If you have that passion, there's really nothing you can't do. So
when Coke came knocking, how big of a business had you built?
Nothing.
Wow.
It was literally nothing. I had one customer, was Coke. So,
you didn't even have it in retail?
No, well.
Oh, you found a local bottler.
Yeah,
Mike Oranger was the local bottler.
Yeah, Coke New York.
Sure. So you didn't have one customer; you had one distributor.
Yeah.
I understand that your accounting was pretty clean. You only had one receivable.
I had one receivable, and you know what? They paid pretty well, and
their checks cash. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like the scene out of The Sopranos. It was kind of like, yeah, we like your business. We're gonna buy it or discontinue it.
So now I'm starting to remember. So Mike Oranger was frustrated; he didn't have a coffee play.
He called Atlanta. Atlanta wouldn't give it to him. He found me on the internet. Dial up, of course.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Can you send me samples?" And I was like, "Shit, no. I'll be there in like 2 hours." I drove there in shorts and as he tells the story, a stained shirt and bleached hair. And I poured the samples. And one of the funny things is
I love Mike, by the way.
He's great. One of the great things about it is they gave me the forecast and like, oh, we need like a couple of trucks to get going. I'm like, oh,
just a little something.
Yeah, a little something. I'm like, I can't afford to make that. It was me, myself, and I, and they were like, yeah, we got that. We'll pay it up front.
And did Coke have like an approved list? Because nowadays they have a walled garden. You can't get into the bottlers unless Atlanta like explicitly says so.
No, in fact, they had no call list, and we were doing it. We got some traction, and then the Atlanta Constitution wrote an article about it.
And you were just doing crew drives and just quietly getting it out.
Well, I wasn't trying to be quiet. I was trying to make as much noise.
But when
as
you're
possible.
one guy.
Yeah. Well, ignorance is bliss. So not knowing is a pretty, darn good asset.
Sure.
And we got the call from Jeff Dunn's office. It's like, hey, Mr. Dunn would like to have dinner with you at oh God, I can't remember the restaurant. A restaurant in the city. I had to go out and buy a suit.
It's going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, exactly.
So you meet with Jeff, and Jeff's like, nice business you have here. Be ashamed if something happened to it. We would rather have it and have you on side.
Yes, they were fantastic.
And how do they buy a business like that? Like if you've got one customer and you're just getting started, like do you get a multiple of revenue, or how'd you guys do it?
No, they said this is the number we're going to pay. You want it or not?
And it was good enough.
It was good enough. And listen, they didn't buy it for what I was doing. They were buying it.
Well, they're kind of buying it for you.
Well,
Because you were like the resident extrapreneur before there was such a thing, right?
Well, listen. Planet Java was awesome. It was a great experience. But as far as the, knowing what I know now, all of that came as a gift from Coke, because after Coke bought it, I spent years with them working with their innovation, and it's some of the best people I've ever met.
Oh, rounding it out, kind of making it more
Rounding it out.
polished.
Yeah. So like when I sold Planet Java, I was at the right place at the right time and got lucky. Now I know enough from the learnings from Coke
Yeah.
to be a little bit dangerous.
Sure.
So, like they took me around the world and they introduced me to their bottlers and, Charlie Fernet in Europe and
I mean, it's sad the product's not
Flavor
around
Russell.
anymore, but Coke's killed a lot of good ideas. They're not good at doing small. I think that's why VEB was a thing and a couple other things. But how at its height, like how big did it get?
it was national. Planet Java was in
multiple countries, or because
no,
I know
no,
I
not
know
international.
Got it. So it made it to my bottler in Southern California. I knew that.
Yeah. Does Canada count as international now?
What's the 51st state?
Yeah. So not
I don't know. Do
sure.
you count Puerto Rico?
I don't know. So it made it to those two states,
Got it.
countries.
So, and then jumping ahead a little bit, like one of the things that I think is super interesting is I was on kind of the ground floor of the Fairlife deal. And sometimes the VEB guys get run down as like not a successful 9-year experiment. But if you look at what came out of it, Fairlife came out of it. Without VEB, you'd never had Fairlife.
Fairlife is significant.
And Fairlife became like, people think of it as like the first branded milk, but Fairlife was not the first branded milk. You were talking about branded milk 25 years ago.
Yeah, well, we were trying to do some good things with we had Slap.
Yeah.
With
Don't love me, slap me.
Slap me, love me. We had the Planet Java, which was milk based.
But Slap was kind of two things. 'Cause I know you wanted to do Slap milk, and then later Slap became an energy drink.
It did. So Slap milk was in the schools when the government was giving the schools or the soda companies a hard time about nutrition. So it was a nutritious milk based
And
product.
was Coke distributing that for you, or did you create it as a Coke employee?
They were distributing it.
So it was yours. There was a company.
So it was under Coca-Cola. So when I sold to Coke, I worked for Coke. I consulted for Coke,
Yep.
and
I knew you had an employment agreement as part of your
employment
Planet Java,
agreement,
yeah.
and I wanted to do some really amazing things and grow it and grow other brands. So
Well, the funny thing is, like, everybody thinks about being edgy and stuff like that, and you were like on the vanguard. You were like the edgiest of edgy, because there were stories where like, yeah, they've got this super creative genius who's running around Atlanta with short pants.
yeah, well, timing is everything, and unfortunately, I missed a lot of those cash outs because I was like too early, too late, and like, listen, I remember going down the halls of Coke saying, when they were peddling KMX. And I was like, "Come on, man!" I'm like,
They called that flavor burnt orange.
Those were the nice people, I guess.
No, that's what it said on the can.
Oh, okay.
They called it burnt orange, and I'm like, no wonder it makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, you know what? It's even to this day, big companies look at the innovation and they want to be a part of it, but they don't want to be a part of it until it's proven. Like,
Yeah, they don't like the messy part.
Yeah, they don't like the messy part. They want the proven. Oh, it's proven. We're all on board. Like, I'm sure, like Liquid Death yesterday when when he was speaking, like you probably see in the crowd like some people cringing, but everybody gets it and everybody likes it, and
Yeah.
it's like a healthy platform, and it's just it's kind of like savory and sweet, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we were working together, we helped get Slap Energy into Southern California. Terry Fitch was willing to give it a try.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting because I thought that product was beautifully created, especially the apple flavor. Like, I still miss the apple flavor. But we got ourselves stuck because they wanted a value play. And we weren't a value brand, but we wanted the distribution bad enough that we sort of went down a value lane. And that was another one where it's like, to your point, maybe just a little too early. I don't know, but it was such a beautifully made product.
It's funny. Some of the biggest supporters of Slap was Casey's. They had it in over 2,000 stores. Walmart loved the product as well. That was national for them. And even to this day, a value play of energy drink, there's really no reason to have a value play for energy drink. Consumers will pay for a function,
Yeah.
and energy drinks deliver on the function. And now energy drinks have evolved, with different types of functional.
Well, I think the distributors had this vision of like the Arizona iced tea of energy.
Yeah,
like
but
they
you
wanted
don't
like a
wanna trade it
99-cent
down.
can of energy. And like, ooh, that's we're leaving a lot on the table.
But you're not going to sell anymore, because if you have an energy drink, if you drink 2 energy drinks, your head's probably going to pop
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
So it's not like you're going to drink anymore.
Yeah.
Like, my wife, gives me crap all the time, but I drink 2 Monsters a day, and she's like, "That's fine as long as my life insurance is paid." But
Just drink one Ghost.
yeah, it's just part of my ritual. I drink
Yeah.
my Monster in the morning. I drink one in late afternoon, and that's what keeps me going.
Well, I'm glad to hear it because I drink energy drinks in the morning, and I use a Yeti tumbler. I fill it with ice, and I like to sip an energy drink over ice. That's like my moment of zen. But God, it makes me feel so like trashy. Like you shouldn't be drinking energy on the rocks at 8 in the morning, but I do it.
I'm good with being an old guy with the big M on the can, chugging from there. Hey, I'm not proud.
Well, the problem is now with the rise of video calls post-COVID, I don't want anyone to see what I'm doing, so I put everything in a Yeti tumbler.
All right, well, don't Zoom me, because I have a Monster cooler that's in the back of my office. So,
Good for you, man.
and
It's a great
everybody's
Coke
like,
product.
"That's a cool guitar, and is that a Monster cooler?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Monster cooler."
I know a guy.
So, I know a guy.
But you know what the crazy thing too is? Like, you speak very highly of Coke. You have a couple times just now. I speak fairly highly of Coke. I had a really good 9-year run with them, and it wasn't that it ended so much as it kind of ran its course.
Exactly.
How long was your relationship with Coke?
I still talk to him.
I do too, but
Yeah,
like
it's
they don't
an
put money in my hand
ex-girlfriend. It's
anymore.
like an uncle. Yeah, they don't pay me anymore, but
When they stop putting money in your hand, you can call that the last day.
I don't know. You know what? Coke changed my life. It's as far as
Mine too.
Not just from them buying the company, but from
No, they give
taking
you
me
an
under the
education.
wing and teaching me the industry.
Muhtar Kent spent time with you. That whole C-suite spent time with you. They gave you carte blanche to run around the country. Like, no, it's like some people go to grad school. Like, you went to grad school.
Yeah, it was great. I went to Japan. I met the flavor houses. I still work at the same flavor house that I was introduced to by Coca-Cola 25 years ago. I still talk to a lot of people from Coke. I miss John Alm. He passed. I'm
John's
sad.
the best.
I'm sad about
Sucks.
that. I was sad about that, but it was nice to.
So
run
second
into
about
people.
John Alm, you knew him way better than I did, but I got a chance to spend time with him after he retired from Coke. He was working on some things, and we had a chance to have dinner with him once or twice. And it's always a strange thing when you meet your heroes. So when he was running CCE, I was a really young guy. Like, I never met him. I saw him in a meeting, but there was 500 of us looking at him in a meeting, right? And then when you have a chance to have dinner with him, you realize, well, he's just a normal guy, and he told a couple of funny stories, and it's like, wow, dude, it's cool when you kind of meet your heroes. Sometimes.
True. So I'll give you a quick funny story about John Alm. First time I met John Alm was down in Atlanta. I get a call from Nellie, his assistant, and she's like, "John would like to have dinner with you tonight. Meet at this restaurant." So I'm like, "Oh, great." So I go to this restaurant. He brings a couple of other CCE people. We're sitting around the table, have a great dinner. The 2 other people get up and leave. John and I are just sitting there bullshitting. And then he's like, "Oh, I forgot my credit card." He goes, "You got this?" And he left. And I was like, "Okay, I guess I got it." But he was just the salt of the earth.
He told me the story when he was trying to do the Rockstar deal with Russ. And he went to Russ's home, and Russ insists, "You got to stay at my home. You have to stay at my home." So John Alm finds himself at the Beverly Hills party pad, and he goes, "Within 3 minutes, I'm introduced to Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild, and there's all kinds of crazy people." He goes, "I hid in the guest bedroom and called my wife and got out of there." He goes, "I was there half an hour."
I heard a lot of stories that a lot of CCE executives were not allowed to go visit Russ.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm glad there's people like that in the world, because it makes me seem a little bit more normal, I guess. So, but I got to tell you though, so as great as Coke was, I'm so much happier being in the alcohol space.
Yeah.
Because there's no slotting fees.
So what are you working on now? Because you had like a really beautiful product, I thought, in Twisted Cherries.
Still got 'em.
You had some really cool stuff happening with Smirnoff.
Oh, Stoli.
Sorry.
Sure.
I haven't drank in 16 years, so I mix messages.
Tomato.
Yeah. Russian vodka.
Yeah. No. Yes. It's not Russian vodka, because I don't think he's welcome back there.
Okay.
But no, I did the Stoli ginger beer with Mike Oranger. He was over at Stoli for a long time. Phenomenal product. And they kind of introduced me to the alcohol space. And then as you mentioned, the twisted cherries. But the thing that I'm like really most excited about right now is the Alc-A-Chino Coffee Shop, and what it is.
Still the best rap name I've ever heard.
It is. That's my rap name. So what's interesting is when speaking to all these retailers over the last couple of days, everybody's saying, here's my new idea, here's my new name, here's the new flavor, here's the new platform, god, I hope it sells. And you know what, it's just rinse and repeat. That's what people are doing. And when I look at the Alc-A-Chino Coffee Shop, what it is we take everything that's at Starbucks or Dunkin and we spike it.
Yeah.
So we're just following what's already been proven in
Don't
the
reinvent
field.
the wheel.
It's like innovation found in plain sight. So
it's innovation, but it's also iteration, right? You've just taken something that works and you've made it different or better or cooler.
Right. So as you and I are talking, probably Starbucks and Dunkin' are probably spending tens of millions of dollars thinking what the next best platform is, what the best flavors are going to be, and then they're going to spend even more money proving it out to the consumers to see if it resonates. Does it taste great? Yeah. And if it does taste great, then I'll just slide in and
people like peppermint, put Stoli in it.
Yeah. then I'll spike it, because not only is it a way to tap into something that's proven, but you don't have to explain it to the consumer because they've already accepted it and love it. Yeah. So when Casey's was our first huge retailer that saw this vision, we worked with the Casey's team. And it's expanding their coffee day part. It's whether it's our spiked iced coffee or the Alc-A-Chino hard refreshers or the Alc-A-Chino espresso martinis. So it's a platform that lives under the Alc-A-Chino Coffee Shop. So, one buyer said to me, hey, what's your next innovation going to be? And I said, I don't know. And they kind of gave me like a snarky look. And I was like, no, I'm being honest with you, because it's about what's going to be successful at the coffee shop. And once that's established, we're going to spike it. So our brand will continue to evolve and move on, because we're going to be tapping into the coffee shop, which is, it's estimated there's going to be like 57,000 of them.
Wow.
By the end of 2026, which is ironic because when you look at the statistics, 51% of Americans go to a coffee shop once a week.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of bogus, because I look at the credit card bill and I see my daughters and my wife going way more than once a week.
So you're a guy who's really good at making stuff. Like, I've always found you to be a pretty gifted formulator with your ability to sort of put things together. When you look around, what are the stuff that you think is like really well made? Other than the monster that you love in your refrigerator, what do you think is really well made these days?
As far as product goes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. So,
like, you're a coffee head. Like, I look around at what Craig did with Happy Coffee, and I think that is a really well-crafted line. Like, shameless plug for Happy, but I think the fact that he's got full flavor and a 10-calorie and the branding, like, I really think
Craig
he's got a well-made product.
The Yoda of innovation. Craig's amazing. What's great about Happy is the story on how him and Robert partnered up, and Robert's love for coffee and Craig's love for the storytelling on it. But I always say to the distributors and retailers, it doesn't matter how good you are or how great your stores are. If the product doesn't deliver on the promise, nobody will ever buy it again.
Yeah.
And to your point, all of the Happy products are pretty amazing.
The packaging, the branding.
Yeah, like, listen, I'm as we're talking, I'm drinking this Vita Coco strawberries and cream. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's 90 calories a serving. So, I kind of enjoyed it. I tried the Cove soda at lunch today. 0 calories, and it tasted like a full calorie soda. So I thought that was quite good. The protein soda yesterday at lunch, that was excellent too. So, any of these products that I see, what's pretty amazing is that, people love bubbles and they love flavor, but if you could give me a promise that it's actually a little bit better for me, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'll believe it.
Yeah. Well, I remember, and I learned kind of marketing 101 at Coca-Cola, and there was this notion of like, we just keep taking things away. No caffeine, no sugar, no this, no that. We never really put anything in it.
Well, listen, they tried with the vitamin. I think so.
Yeah,
like what we're seeing now, like what we're seeing at the conference now is real innovation. Like, when we were starting out, innovation was, like, ta-da, vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
Ta-da, cherry Coke.
Yeah.
It's kind of like now
have some surge.
Free. Yeah, but there was no innovation.
Yeah.
Where like now they're taking what people love and they're figuring out a way to make it healthier.
Well, when I worked at Coke, you do a really good job of staying in your bubble. Like, you got 350 SKUs. You don't have time to look around and see what else is out there. I had no idea how active the entrepreneur, and maybe the entrepreneur community wasn't active in the 90s, but I had no idea that it was emerging brands by entrepreneurs that were really driving everything. Like, you look at 350 to 500 new brands come out every year. That's not the fourth flavor of Fanta. You know, that's guys getting up in the morning and creating new stuff.
Well, now they're fighting for their life for the original Fanta, you know,
Yeah.
not so much innovating, and you want to talk about the journey. 20 years ago, you didn't know about that, but like now, what LA Libations is is driving that innovation.
Trying to, yeah.
Well, you know, which is, you know, to your point, you said, like, you know, Larry, you're pretty good at formulation. Yeah, I think I am, because I like to drink things and eat things, and I know what I like.
No, but you've been across a bunch of categories, from coffee to milk to energy to alcohol. All your stuff tastes good. Like, it just does.
It's got to taste good. If it doesn't taste good, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah.
But you know what? That's just half the equation. You know, as I get older in life, I'm kind of figuring this out. It's kind of like what's these entrepreneurs that you have here, the younger ones. They're smarter because they're aligning themselves with you, because they have no idea. You know, you can't figure out supply chain and formulation, retail connections, selling it in, what they're looking for. Back then, we had to cobble all of that stuff together. There was no LA Libations back then. So, you know, now the stuff that I'm doing, I'm making sure that it's strategically aligned. So, you know, it's great that I can make something, but it doesn't mean anything if the world doesn't see it.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I'm so glad you came to the show. Like, one of the things that's cool about this show for me is it's a chance to, like, connect with friends and catch up with people they're doing. And for you to come across the country to come to our show, it means a lot. I really appreciate it.
well, you know, listen, I'm sorry I didn't make it last year, but I had
Last
a family
year was kind of a
engagement.
surprise.
It was. I had a family engagement. I usually don't travel cross country.
Yeah. Well, the good
But,
news is the last year almost didn't happen. So.
but it did happen, and
It
I heard
did happen.
and I heard amazing things, and this show is just off the charts, and I'm already looking forward. I already scanned my thing for next year, so
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. You guys, it's an amazing job, and hopefully next year you'll invite me back into the booth, and I give you an update on the
100%.
Alc-A-Chino.
Next year, I want to see your stuff. I want to see the samples, man.
Well, you know what? If you guys were smart, sex sells, and you should put me up on the stage. So,
If you're willing to, I'll figure out a way to get you up there, dude. I love you, Larry. I think you got so much to offer and so much to give. Like, you were, to your point earlier, said, hey, was in the right place at the right time. Like, you got into this thing at a very high level at a really young age. Like, you and I are probably within a few years of each other. And the
I'm
fact
42.
that you... So, like, well, you're a little older than me, but
kidding.
you're a little... It took me a second.
18 years ago, sure.
Yeah, but you're like, you got into this at a really high level, dude. So to see that you've been hanging out at a really high level is exciting for me.
Well, thank you, and yeah, it's an amazing journey, and I couldn't imagine anything in life that didn't involve the beverages, and you know what, Coke is in the rearview mirror, but God, I love Coke.
Did I ever tell you how I got started in beverage?
No.
So I was living in a fraternity house. I was a student at USC. One of my fraternity brothers had come back from campus, and he goes, oh, there's a job fair on campus. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm looking for an internship. I printed 20 resumes out of my crappy printer. I was wearing board shorts and flip-flops.
Nice.
And as I went down Truesdale, which is the main artery of campus, if I knew what the business was, I left a resume. So it was like the May Company, CIA, Coca-Cola. There was a bunch of aerospace, stuff like that. The reason I'm in the beverage business almost 30 years is Coca-Cola called back first.
Really?
They called me the next day, and they said, we'd love you to come in for an interview. And in those days, like Terry Fitch's office, it was 3 miles from USC. I could have ridden my bike there. So I put on the shitty suit my mom bought me when I went off to college. I went there. I had a decent interview. And at the end, she's like, so could you start in May? And I'm like, honestly, I'm hoping for another football season. I'm going to graduate in December, but I'd love to have an internship this summer if you have that. So she goes, oh, absolutely. We have stuff in finance and human resources. And I'm like, I really wanted to get into sales. Like, do you have like a sales internship? And she goes, yeah, that's called a merchandiser. I'm like, sounds great. I'll take it.
Sounds good.
So I called myself an intern, but really what they thought of me as was part-time summer labor. And that's how I got my start.
But listen, you know what? Things happen for a reason, and you know, you took that opportunity. Listen, the first time I met Danny and you, Danny was telling me this dream about his drink. I won't say what it is or anything, but I was telling Danny last night, I'm like, listen, when this is all over, when Alc-A-Chino gets to that next level, and when you guys get to the next level, and I'm in my retirement phase, I'm gonna do that drink with Danny. I don't care if it sells or not. I'm just gonna do that drink just to bring it full circle.
Well, it's funny. So the reason Danny got in the beverage business, he got out of college, and his goal was, I need to find the biggest company that'll hire me and stay there my whole career.
No, Danny said that?
Coca-Cola was the biggest company that would hire him, and he was like, I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels come off. And it took about 8 years before he realized I'm an entrepreneur.
A real
Yeah.
Well, Danny, well, you, Danny, and Pat are a dangerous combination of, that entrepreneur and sales and.
Dude, Pat got started on the real heavy side. So I started as a merchandiser, but I was at Coke. Danny started as a merchandiser. He was at Coke. Pat started at 7-Up. He started with the local 7-Up bottler.
Really?
And cheers to the local 7-Up bottler, but it's harder. Like selling number 3 is harder than selling number 1. I did a tour of duty at Keurig Dr. Pepper. Great company, amazing people. So grateful for everything I learned. But what I learned was selling number 3 is hard.
Well, you know what? Makes you work harder. It makes you figure it out. So,
Well, there was more than one time in my first year at 7-Up when I went home saying, fuck, how much of it was the brand Coca-Cola and how much of it was me?
I'll give it 50-50. But Pat's also 7'5".
generous.
Pat's 7'5". So I would be intimidated not to buy it from him.
Well, what I laughed about Pat is, I'm like, how did your coworkers at 7-Up take it when you told them you were leaving to go to Coca-Cola? And he goes, oh, dude, he goes, everyone was excited for me. He goes, it was like being called up to the majors. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, we had like a cocktail hour afterwards.
You see, that's, probably people that are listening to this probably won't get it, but that was the good old days. Like when you were with Coke, you were with Coke, and it was Coke, Pepsi, and it was brand loyalty.
Yeah,
throughout.
And in fairness to Keurig Dr. Pepper, and before that, Cadbury Shops America's Beverages, Pat was working for the local 7-Up bottler, right? It was just 7-Up.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's really regional. But like nowadays, everybody just interconnects, and there's none of that brand loyalty. I had my bachelor party in Vegas, and I was down in Atlanta, and Alm came over. Another John Alm story. So he passed away, so he can't come back to haunt him.
Was this the day you guys changed swim trunks?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to explain that because
you didn't think I remembered, did you? You didn't think I remembered.
All right. So I'll tell you my bachelor party, and then I'll tell you that. So at my bachelor party was booked. My friends booked the bachelor party, but they booked it at New York. And this is after I sold my company.
Great for
Coke.
A bunch of guys from New York.
Right. Let's go to New York. It's in Vegas, a party. So I'm down in Atlanta before my bachelor party, and John Alm comes over to me and goes, "What the fuck?" He goes, I hear you have your bachelor parties this upcoming weekend. How come I wasn't invited? I'm like, oh, wow, you're more than welcome to come out.
I didn't know we were that close.
I'm like, you're more than welcome to come out. So he's like, all right, send me the details. So I was like, shit. I'm like, we're in a Pepsi hotel. So I had to, and all my other friends didn't really have the money. So I'm like, all right. So I had to move all the reservations over.
There at MGM Grand, yeah.
To MGM, and that's where we went. So I have to clear up that story of the bathing suit shorts.
No need on my account.
So I think after Alm left Coke, he was working with UFC with Dana White.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he asked me to do like an MMA drink.
Okay.
And
Alm doesn't strike me as a cage fighting type.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
So I put together this like incredible packaging. And we met up with the MMA people, and we're out in Vegas, and Oranger is there as well too. So we're having lunch, we're having dinner, and then so we spent like 3 days out there, and Alm was out there obviously as well. And so we're gonna go by the pool, and we go to pick up Alm from the hotel. He's like, I don't have a bathing suit. Do either one of you guys have an extra bathing suit? And me and Mike looked over at each other. We're like, what the fuck? We're like, no, your boys are not going where my boys go. We're like, no, we don't have an extra bathing suit.
Sometimes you're a fan of segregation.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm like, I'm on the elevator, and Mike looks at me.
Meanwhile, that hotel probably has all kinds of swimwear for sale.
Yeah, exactly. And Mike looks at me and goes, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, I don't even want to get into it. And then John's like, what, a bathing suit? He's like, you come in, every time I see you come in with that fucking wheelie cooler with new samples at a restaurant or wherever. Because anytime I have like innovation, I always had like a cooler saying, taste this, taste that.
All the good guys do.
Yeah. So, I do miss John. He's a legend, and just his love for Coke and his honesty for
Yeah.
Coke. And
I didn't spend nearly enough time with him like you did, but I saw him as a very senior leader while I was a very junior leader. And the stuff that he came in and did to CCE, where it's like, we're going to take our ties off and we're going to go after it. And he put up his 10 principles, and it was cool. It was cool.
Wow.
I believed it. When I was a kid, I believed it.
well, when I'll leave you with this story. We went down. Coke bought the company. John's like had the big CCE meeting in Key West, and he's like, "It's gonna be great. We're gonna go fishing. We're gonna do this, that." So I brought shorts, right?
Yeah.
Shorts and a bathing suit, right?
Yeah, Key West,
So,
yeah.
Key West. So
Well, if you're going with John, you bring 2 bathing suits.
yeah, exactly. This was before that incident. So we're down there, and there's like 400 people in this room, and they're doing presentations. And his Planet Java comes up, and I give it the presentation, and he's like, "It's come to my attention, Larry didn't bring a sport jacket for tonight's dinner. What other chubby people do we have out here? And did you bring an extra jacket?" And he's looking. He's like, "Clyde, what size are you? You have an extra jacket?" And I'm up there, and I'm like
So
mortified.
not only did you get called out, you got body shamed.
Body shamed. So yeah, John, and he passed away, and he didn't even get to see me lose weight. So now I can be like, "Fuck you, John, I got my own jacket."
Something tells me you guys will meet again.
I hope not soon.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it, dude.
Thanks, man.
You're so much fun, man.